The dust of the forward operating base shimmered under the Afghan sun as the medevac helicopter touched down. The rotor wash kicked sand and gravel into the air, coating everyone in a fine, gritty haze. A young woman jumped out first, short brown ponytail tucked under her helmet, medic patch on her shoulder, and a calmness that didn't belong in a war zone. "Corpsman, this way," a Marine yelled, waving her toward the triage tent. But she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the distant ridgeline. Smoke and flashes of gunfire rippled through it like lightning. The SEALs had gone up that hill 20 minutes ago. They weren't responding on comms anymore. Chief Petty Officer Hayes, the team's senior medic, ran up beside her. "Doc, we've got wounded." "I know," she cut him off, voice steady. "But if that ridge isn't cleared, we'll have a lot more wounded soon." Hayes frowned. "You're a medic, not an assault trooper." She turned toward the weapons rack. "Not today." In one swift motion, she pulled an M4 from the stand, checked the chamber, and slung it across her shoulder. The Marines nearby stopped what they were doing. A medic, grabbing a rifle. Even Hayes blinked. "Ma'am, you can't just." But she was already moving, adjusting her plate carrier, slipping extra mags into her vest. Her hands didn't tremble. They moved with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. When she stepped out toward the Humvee, Sergeant Diaz called after her, "You sure you know how to use that thing?" She didn't answer. She simply clicked the safety off and said, "I qualified expert twice before I was ever issued a medic kit." The vehicle roared to life. Inside, two Marines exchanged nervous glances. "We're really letting a medic lead the push." One whispered, "Guess she's not just a medic," the driver muttered. As they rolled toward the ridgeline, the radio crackled again, faint voices, shouts, then static. The SEAL team was still up there, cut off and pinned. When the Humvee stopped, she jumped out before anyone else could move. Bullets hissed overhead, snapping against the rocks. She hit the dirt, lifted her rifle, and fired, short, disciplined bursts that dropped two insurgents trying to flank the ridge. Her breathing stayed even, her aim surgical. One Marine stared, wide-eyed. That's not standard medic training. Within minutes, she reached the base of the ridge. Smoke and dust swirled around her as she climbed, switching between suppressive fire and motioning the others forward. By the time the SEALs reappeared, bloodied but alive, they froze at the sight before them. Their medic stood in the open, rifle steady, covering their retreat like a seasoned operator. Chief Hayes finally caught up, panting. "What the hell are you?" She glanced back, dirt streaking her face, eyes sharp under her helmet. "Combat trained," she said simply, "just not officially listed." The SEALs exchanged looks, none of them dared to argue. The base was eerily quiet when they returned. The medevac had already lifted the wounded, and the smell of burned cordite lingered in the air. The SEALs walked behind her, scraped, bruised, and staring at the woman who'd just saved them. Inside the command tent, the atmosphere changed instantly. Officers turned as she entered, the medic with a rifle slung across her back. A few Marines exchanged whispers. Word had spread fast. Chief Hayes stormed in right after her, voice sharp. "You disobeyed direct orders, Corporal. You left your medical post and went into an active kill zone. What the hell were you thinking?" She stood at attention, dust still coating her uniform. "Sir, I was thinking about the SEALs bleeding out with no cover." "That's not your call," Hayes snapped. "You're a medic. You patch holes, you don't make them." Before she could reply, Commander Briggs, the SEAL team leader, stepped forward. His arm was bandaged, his face streaked with soot. "Chief, if she hadn't made that call, none of us would be standing here." The room fell silent. Briggs continued, eyes locked on Hayes. She moved like a trained operator. Controlled fire, perfect discipline. Not once did she miss a shot. "You don't learn that in medical school." Hayes frowned. "What are you implying, Commander?" Briggs turned to her. "I'm asking who you really are." The medic hesitated. For a moment, the tent filled only with the low hum of generators outside. Then, quietly, she reached into her pocket and slid a small, worn ID across the table. The plastic edge was faded, but the insignia was unmistakable. JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. Hayes froze. "That's classified clearance." She met his eyes. I was embedded as a combat trauma specialist with a Tier 1 group 2 years ago. My team was wiped out during a raid. Command reassigned me under Medical Corps, thought I'd be safer here." Briggs stared at her, realization dawning. "You were Ghost Team." She didn't answer, but the flicker in her eyes was enough. The ghosts were a black ops unit. No records, no names, no survivors officially listed. Hayes exhaled, running a hand down his face. Why didn't you say something? Because medics save lives, she said softly. Not reputations. I didn't want a rank. I wanted to keep my promise to the ones we lost. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Briggs stepped closer, his tone shifting from suspicion to respect. Well, you kept your promise today. You saved an entire SEAL team. She nodded once, shouldering her rifle. Then my job's done. As she turned to leave, Hayes called after her. Corporal, next time, you wait for orders. She paused at the flap, sunlight slicing across her face. Next time, Chief, she said quietly, let's make sure someone's alive to give them. Outside, the SEALs watched her walk toward the flight line, the medic who fought like a legend they'd never forget.